Three Oklahoma Sooners make ESPN's top 100. Did they get it right? We'll discuss next on Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome to Locked On Sooners, and thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Join all the action at FanDuel.com to play daily dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer this MLB season. He's Jay Smith of Unfair Sports. I'm John Williams of Sooners Wire. On today's show, we're going to talk through the top producers on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. Who's going to rush for the most yards? Who's going to have the most sacks, INTs, tackles for loss, catches, touchdowns? We're going to give you our picks on all of that stuff. But we're going to start here, Jay, because you had three Oklahoma Sooners make the top 100 players in college football list. And I don't know if they got it exactly right. You got David Stone at number 50, Taylor Wein at 75, and John Mateer at 89.
Yeah, three players, the only ones that we got on the list for ESPN's top 100 in the country. And I guess it's pseudo fair, mainly because the raw numbers don't lean in Oklahoma's direction for the most part ever. A lot of the players, Taylor Wein, finished up last season with seven sacks and a bunch of tackles for loss. So, of course, he got some love there. And the interesting thing about the article was they pointed out that just because where these Oklahoma players are showing right now doesn't mean that's where they would end at the end of the season. They actually believe everybody would move up by the end of this season when they do the end of season top list or whatnot. But Wine at 75 was interesting. 44 tackles, 14 tackles for loss, 7 sacks. And Bill Connelly really's like, he's going to end up being ranked higher than that, especially because with our Mason Thomas gone, he's probably going to be the main guy at the edge.
Yeah, Taylor Wein getting some love. Love to see that. He needs to be considered one of the best defensive ends in college football because he was one of the best defensive ends in college football last year. I know he may not be the same name that some of these others that are going to be in the top 10 in a lot of these lists. Colin Simmons at number 3, or you get Dylan Stewart that's a lot of times in the top 25 or so. He comes in at number 14. And I get it. Those guys are incredible talents. And I ask this question like I always ask it. Are they 72 spots better than Taylor Wein? Or in Dylan Stewart's case, is he 61 spots better than Taylor Wein? That part I always have a little bit of an issue with because all our guy did was just go produce last year in his first opportunity to really play significant snaps, and he was awesome.
I guess the question it appears they're asking is, can he replicate those numbers that he put out last year? Can he go back out there as the main guy and still get 7? I think that's where Colin Simmons, of course, gets his love. He had double-digit sacks as the main guy.
He should
everybody
be right
was
there.
Focused on stopping.
Yeah.
Dylan Stewart, though, in your similar statements, not so much, but he also missed a good portion of the season due to injury, and it doesn't look like he's going to start the beginning of this season either. Now, he will get drafted in the top 15 just because of the 6'5" frame and the upside and the potential is there. But Taylor Wein does definitely deserve to get a little bit more benefit of the doubt just because of how he came in for our Mason Thomas and really, for the most part, dominated.
Yeah.
Especially when you saw him in that Alabama game, people were like, oh, wait, I see what you all are seeing now.
Yeah.
That was the coming out party. Stone at 50, that feels extremely low for a guy that has the potential that everyone's raving about. He's considered one of the better run stuffers in the country, but I guess a lot of people are wondering, does he actually have the pass rush capabilities? He can collapse a pocket and force the pocket to be tough, but can he actually get back there and truly be the guy that gets the sack?
I get why people are maybe not as bought in because of the sack numbers. But if you look at the pressure numbers, he's still incredible. He's right where he needs to be. Will Eccles, how many sacks did he have last year for Ole Miss? I don't think he had very many either. So again, we're talking about a difference of, like 20 spots between the two guys.
No, and that's truly
15.
fair. Yeah, and I think for him, it's they know that he's going to collapse a pocket. They know he's going to get the pressure, but is his pass rushing ability still there? Like he's going to help collapse the pocket, but is he going to really be outside of his pressure, really being that much of a threat?
And honestly, I'm okay with Stone being at 50. That's the one that really doesn't bother me much because the sack numbers really weren't there. Eccles did have 5 sacks. So Stone has an opportunity to improve on what he did last year. And I'm okay with that. I think being top 50, a top 50 player in college football is quite an honor, actually. I was a little bit surprised to see like John Mateer stacked up behind like a Byron Brown or Kevin Jennings, some of these other quarterbacks out there. Honestly, I was surprised to see him in the top 100 to begin with, just based on what we saw last year. I just didn't think that he would get enough love from their panel to warrant being a top 100 pick or top 100 player.
It's that upside, right? You throw for 2,800 yards with 4 fingers, well, roughly 3 because you can't grip the ball like you want to. A lot of people see it now. They want to see Mateer actually develop from last season. And I think that that's a very fair assessment. Heck, Sooner fans want to see the same thing. That's everybody's complaint here now is they want to see if Mateer can develop. And sometimes it takes 4 years for a quarterback to get to that point. It's coming to his 4th year in the system. I think that I expect him to be a much better quarterback, but to me, I don't care about his NFL potential anymore. I want him to be a great college quarterback.
Yes.
Because being a great college quarterback means my college team that I root for is having a good season. Because not all great college quarterbacks translate to the NFL. A lot of your NFL quarterbacks are guys that come from smaller schools because they're not throwing a whole bunch of 5-star dudes. Just go look at the rosters out there. That's been like an evaluation that people have recognized with quarterbacks. A lot of smaller school quarterbacks do better. And in that case, give me that. Let me see John go out here and be one of the best college quarterbacks out there. And it doesn't require being the best thrower all the time. Like he can go out there and have we mentioned before, a Tim Tebow-istic type season, which means he'll be running the ball a lot. He'll be throwing the ball a lot. He'll be all over the place. And I just don't want him to feel like he needs to carry the team, but I want him to go out there and ball out. And so I think 89 is a very fair spot. And Bill Connelly even mentioned in the comments, he did all this stuff without a thumb on his throwing hand. If he's healthy and everything around him has improved and he takes advantage of it and Buckle tells him, hey man, throw that, just let it go. Just rip it. Good chance John Mateer puts up way more numbers, and we'll give our predictions on what those numbers are going to be in a bit.
Yeah, I think the only player I was surprised not to see on this list was Isaiah Satania. A guy that was a second-team All-SEC wide receiver last year. What was he?
Yeah.
Second in the SEC in receiving yards. Led Oklahoma in every receiving category. All while his quarterback could barely throw the ball. So that's the one guy. And again, I make the comparison between him and Cam Coleman. Cam Coleman comes in at number 15 on this list, and Isaiah Satania is not on the list. I think we're hype. We're talking about a lot of hype, which Cam Coleman, great wide receiver. Put him in the top 20 if you want to, but let's not leave our guy Isaiah Satania off the list.
Which is even interesting to add to that. Like the guy that led the NCAA in receiving yards last season isn't even in the top 100, Danny Scudero. Which it's like, really? So, I mean, like I said, I get the Cam Coleman hype just because he could do some insane stuff, but Danny Scudero caught, like, Jeremiah Smith is, he's at the top.
He's one of one. He's my number one.
He's one of one. He had, over 1,000 yards receiving and was at 11, 12 touchdowns. So, yeah, he got to get some numbers, but Scudero, who's now Colorado's, basically overlooked, like, and And he's similar to Satania. He's a smaller wide receiver. He's in the 5'9", 5'10" range. So you would think that the guy that put up the numbers would get a little bit more respect. But I guess, they're not respecting Scudero because he came from San Jose State. But Satania was at Oklahoma in the SEC. He definitely needs to at least be in the top 100.
Yeah. Any other snubs real quickly, guys, that you felt like maybe should have been there that weren't?
This year, no, not really. Like outside of Satania, I was thinking about like some of the other defenders, Kip, maybe even but again, we rotate so much, the numbers aren't going to always be there for them. I do think the secondary is going to probably put up a lot more numbers to be able to get more recognition, especially for Guillory going into his third year, which will probably be his last. But this year, and to start, we got a whole bunch of unknown name people who was going to go out there and put in work.
And this no-name defense is just going to go ball this year. Can't wait to see it. Coming up, who's going to lead the way offensively, defensively in the stat categories? We'll discuss next on Locked On Sooners. Support for today's episode comes from Indeed Sponsored Jobs. When workplace chaos hits and you need the right hire, Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps connect employers with candidates who match specific needs like skills, certifications, and from the right locations. So less time gets spent searching and more time gets spent finding the right fit. People are finding quality hires on Indeed right now. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. I've been a part of hiring. It can be a complicated mess sometimes, and you can get a resume in front of you, you can get a CV, but sometimes that doesn't give you the clearest picture, and that's why you got to go check out Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire. This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And once again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there tuning in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcast. If you want more Locked On Sooners with no ads, go check out the Everydayer Club at lockedonsooners.supercast.com. For $5 a month, you get ad-free audio access of Locked On Sooners. You also get an invite to the members-only Discord where you can talk ball with Jay and I and other members of the Locked On Sooners Everydayer Club.
Yeah, and the whole community is starting to really get fired up because we got football in a few days.
Football. All right. So we know who's going to lead the way in passing for Oklahoma. That's John Mateer. Who leads the way in rushing yards for the Sooners?
Sure.
Man, I hope so. I really hope we do not have
really
quarterback drama this year. Please.
Zero
please.
drama. I need John to go out there and just cook. Just fry everybody.
Yeah.
That's what you need to be doing. But no, I'd say rushing is going to be the most interesting because you've got so many options. So the one that I think is going to finish with the most yards at running back, I think it's going to end up being Xavier Robinson. I think he's going to finish, be healthy, and I think he actually leads the way. And I think he actually gets 950 yards rushing.
Here for it. I just need Xavier Robinson to have a healthy season. Because if he does, he's going to be productive. Every time he's out on the field, he's productive. He's just been banged up so much in his Oklahoma career that it's been hard to get him on the field consistently.
That's true.
I'll ride the Xavier Robinson thing because I do believe that after we talked about our depth chart earlier this week, I do believe it's going to be Xavier Robinson. It's going to start for Oklahoma. He's going to be that guy. He's going to be the one that gets the majority of the carries week in, week out. And so he's going to lead Oklahoma in rushing. I don't know if he gets to 900 yards, but I do think he has a really productive season. And even if it's at the 800-yard mark, that's really good for Oklahoma, especially if you have maybe Jonathan Hatton getting 400 or 500, Lloyd Avant getting 300, 400, and it disperses like that to where, and then you got John Mateer that's got 500 or so. then you're talking about a group that's got 2,000 yards combined, and that's chef's kiss.
2,400 is what I'm hoping that this team can get us. That's about what Notre Dame got with their running duo, with their running backs in general. 2,400 would make me very happy. That's roughly 200 a game.
Let's go. We need that. We absolutely need that. All right, who leads the team in rushing touchdowns? Because that could be different.
Yeah, I think that actually will be different. I think it ends up being John Mateer. I think John ends up taking that mantle. One thing Oklahoma was really good at last season was when we got in the red zone, we scored. Our biggest problem is we just didn't get to the red zone very often, and that's mainly because we didn't have a run game. We usually scored on big plays, and we score on distance passes, or when we get in there, we kick a field goal. So the opportunities, we weren't there as often as we should have been. Mm-hmm. So I actually think that John gets us in there, and I think he actually leads the way in rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, I'll ride the Rob hand. I think, just as you mentioned, they're going to get into the red zone more. You're going to have more opportunities to just continue to run the ball, be physical at the point of attack, use your big offensive line, use your tight ends to try and dictate what happens. And I think it's going to lead to more Xavier Robinson touchdowns, maybe 7, 8, something like that. But I think that could be enough. I think John Mateer ends up with like 6, 7, or 8. So we'll be kind of right in there. The two will battle it out throughout the year for most rushing touchdowns on the team. All right, who leads the team in receiving yards?
Man, that's a tough one. And I've been debating if I wanted to go out on a limb on this one, but if the rumors are true about Elijah Thomas, I think he could end up being in the mix, but I'm going to actually give it to Trill Harris. I think he makes it the full season. I think that he becomes the biggest problem out there for other teams, and he gets it.
So I'm going to go Isaiah Satania. Big play threat. He's not going to need as many targets to create as much yardage.
Yeah, that'd be a plus.
But I do think Trill Harris leads the team in receptions.
Ooh.
So I think you'll see a lot of like first down catches for Trill Harris, moving the chains, creating more offensive momentum, but Satania is going to make the most out of his catches with big, 50, 60 yard completions and plays and touchdowns and things like that. So who leads the team in receiving touchdowns?
Your touchdown machine, Satania.
Okay.
I think he's the one that does it.
I've been right. And I don't know if it's probably a bold prediction. So I don't know if I should keep writing the bold prediction, but I've been saying Rocky Beers, and I'm going to keep with Rocky Beers. I don't know why. I just have this feeling that he's a little bit forgotten in the tight end room. He's going to be a little bit forgotten compared to their receivers. And
I think so too.
He's such an athlete, and he's going to be a weapon in the red zone. So even if he only has 20 catches, 8 of those could be for touchdowns because of how productive he is as a receiving threat, especially in the red zone.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's very fair.
Yeah, but I love you leaning into Elijah Thomas, though. I think that's a guy that he could lead the team in touchdowns because he's just so stinking athletic. He could lead the team in receptions because I feel like he's going to get open a lot. That is a wild card that I think has an opportunity to really surprise everybody this year.
Yeah, I think Elijah Thomas could, if all these rumors, because this is the second year in a row that we've been hearing about him. And to me, if I'm hearing about you twice like this, and it's like for real, people are leaning in heavy, and then like the last practice, we had all the interviews. I'm like, all right, obviously they're trying to tell, the propaganda machine is trying to tell us something. So we're going to go ahead and accept what you're telling us, and he better show out. That's all I got to say.
This is going to be an interesting question. When it's 3rd and 1, you're late in the game, you want to run the ball because you want to pick up a first down. You're leading. You're trying to milk the clock. Ooh. Which direction are you running the football? Who are you going behind?
Think left side.
Yeah.
You're going for Susie and EPO. You're going with the guy that's going to probably end up getting a penalty for necessary roughness to bring you back another 5 yards. But you're definitely going to the left.
Yeah. After the play, result of the play is still a first down, but you're going back 15 yards. So, no, that's kind of what I'm thinking too. Like, got to have it. got to get a yard. We're going behind the left side. And I asked that as a production question because I feel like that's the best way to really highlight who's having that strong of a season. Like when you have to have it, who's going to be the side of the offensive line that really gives you exactly what you need and gives you that yard. And I think those two are about to have a stellar season and playing next to each other. Having that physicality and the mentality that they have, it could really drive Oklahoma's season.
It's going to be critical.
Yeah.
I think they can do it.
All right, coming up next, who leads the way on the defensive side of the ball? We'll discuss next on Locked On Sooners.
Locked On Sooners is brought to you by FanDuel. Baseball fans, if you think you know who's going to hit a home run today, FanDuel is giving you a free chance to call your shot with the Daily Dingers. It's easy to play. Just make your free pick with who you think is going to hit a homer in their game. And if they do, and you're right, you're going to get a profit boost for your next boost for a chance at extra winnings. And best of all, you can make this pick every day throughout the MLB season. And so all you got to do is go and look. Who are the dingers out there? Matt Olson, 37 homers this season. Jordan Alvarez, 36, with Hunter Goodwin also at 36. Players to look at when you're looking at those dingers. And Daily Dingers is just another way of having fun and staying engaged with all of the games. Whether you're following your favorite team or, keeping your eyes out for some of these home run hitters in baseball. So you got to go check them out. So if you're ready to play your game today, join all the action over there at FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com to play Daily Dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of the MLB.
And again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. All right, top defensive performers. Let's start with tackles. Jay, who's going to lead the team in tackles?
Ooh. This one was a toughie for your boy. It was tough because, truthfully, on the tackle side, I'm trying to figure out who's going to be in the game enough to be able to do that. That's what makes it so hard. We know the rotations are so common. It makes it very difficult to be able to pick that one person that we think is going to be able to put up all of it. So like last season, your total tackler was Kip with Owen right behind him at 76-74, 38 solo, 34 solo for those two. And then Robert Spears-Jennings was roughly just under 20 behind them. But if I'm going to pick one person, Reggie Powers is the third. I think RP3 ends up being the one that's on the field, not only the most, but all over the place hitting folks. They've been raving about him at the Cheetah. So give me RP3 as your leading tackler.
Let's go. Here for it. I mean, that's
Something
a
different
dude that you want to see have a big year. If he's having the year that everybody thinks he's capable of, dude, he's going to be incredibly productive. Around the line of scrimmage, he's going to get opportunities. Teams are going to try to throw screens his way. He's going to erase those as well. So I like that pick. I'm going to go with Owen Heineke. He wasn't a full-time starter until several games into the season. And then once he took over, he was awesome. I mean, he was awesome in his rotational role, but what does he look like and what does he do with a starter's amount of snaps? I think he surpasses what he put up last year. I think Kip's going to be close. I think RP3 could be close, but I think Owen's going to take it this year. All right, TFLs, Jay, TFLs.
Tackles for loss, Owen.
Okay.
I think he's the one that's going to live in the backfield. We know that is the Brent Venables stat, and for Oklahoma, they get a lot of tackles for loss. I think Owen's going to end up being the one that leads the team in TFLs this year, just because of not only him being on the field a lot, but I think he's the one that's going to break through because he did that a lot last season. So I'm gonna go ahead and call it and give it to him.
I'm gonna go with Taylor Wein, a guy coming off of his first real run through college football. He had 15 tackles for loss last year to lead the team. I can't imagine that he has a worse season than he had last year.
I mean, fair.
People are going to be paying more attention, but they also have to pay a lot of attention to David Stone and Jaden Jackson in the middle as well. Taylor Wein is just an incredible run defender, and he's going to get sacks I think is going to have an opportunity to have as many, if not more, tackles for loss this season. Sacks. Let's talk that way. Who do you think leads the team in sacks?
Oh, man. I think Taylor Wein gets a double-digit season. I think he ends up leading the team. Last year, I was picking Jaden Jackson because I thought that everybody else was going to be focused on and he's just going to slip through and be the one that gets it. He stuffs the play, moves the guy out there, and boom, and gets the sack. And he did start the season off strong. Yeah. Made me look good. Yeah, and then it just kind of faded away. And it's more so because people start realizing, no, he's a problem. We got to stop him.
Yeah.
So
we can't let him get to our guy so quickly.
Exactly. And I think Taylor Wein's one that you just can't stop him. And I think it's going to be Taylor Wein's going to end up being the one that leads us in sacks this year.
Yeah, I think so too. All right. From the tackles for loss, sacks, who's kind of a dark horse guy, though, that you think could lead in any one of those categories?
For tackles, I'm going to say Peyton Bowen.
Okay.
I think he's a big dark horse on that one. He's not a tackling machine, but he could end up being the one that comes down and stops a lot of plays. Either him or Boganowski. Actually, more so Michael Boganowski because he's more of a downhill guy anyway. So give me Michael Boganowski for that one on the tackles. For tackles for loss, I think the one would probably be Danny Okoye. Okay. I think he's one that could end up being a dark horse that goes in and wrecks a lot of shop in that one. And then sacks, David Stone. And I say that because I still have David Stone in the Jalen Carter category of he's really good at this position and what he can do. He's really good on the pressures. That's basically what he does. He forces quarterbacks to have to move. He collapses pockets. He just doesn't get the sack numbers. Jalen Carter didn't get that at Georgia either, but he was also a beast, and he ended up being a beast in the NFL so far. I think Stone's in that similar scenario, but I'd say Stone would be my sleeper in leading the team in sacks because he decides that, you know what, screw this, I'm going to find a way to get all the sacks.
Yeah, so give me Cole Sullivan as a guy that could lead the team in tackles. I think as a dark horse, somebody that maybe gets opportunities at both linebacker spots, gets an opportunity at cheetah, just rotates in everywhere and is on the field a bunch. I liked your Boganowski pick. Robert Spears-Jennings was third on the team in tackles last year, just 15 behind, I want to say, Kip Lewis and Owen Heineke. So he's right in the mix there. For the tackles for loss, I could totally see Danny Okoye being that guy as teams maybe don't want to run towards Taylor Wein as much because that's a losing proposition a lot of the times. And then David Stone, if he has the season that he's capable of, he certainly has the potential to have, anywhere from 5 to 6, 7 sacks. I think it's on the table for him. It'd be huge. Interceptions, Jay. Who leads the team in interceptions?
Who leads the team in interceptions? I think he takes the season personally when people go after him because they think that he may be a little bit too into himself. Give me Cortland Guillory. I think he ends up going out there and leading it. I think he just starts picking off passes nonstop.
I just don't know if teams are going to go at him enough.
I think they
You know what I'm saying?
I think they're going to go after him more than they did last year because they after the Cam Coleman game, you started seeing people still go after him, but it started he would get called for hit with a few penalties here and there. And so the test didn't go as much. I think people test him even more, and I think he gets so much more savvy that he just starts picking off all the passes, and there's like, crap, that was a mistake.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Eli Bowen. I think teams are going to avoid Cortland and go towards Eli.
Go to the guy with pick sixes and
Yeah.
stuff?
You don't have a good option, Jay. There's not a good way to throw the ball, but maybe you think you can get over on a dude that's maybe a little bit shorter. I don't know.
He tried it last year and he kept getting pick sixes. So
Right.
I'm just
There's
saying.
no good option, Jay.
I'm just
There's no
saying.
good option.
You did that to Billy Bowman too because he was shorter, and you thought that we're gonna go out there, and what he kept doing, return him for touchdowns. So I'm just
don't throw the ball in Oklahoma. Just don't do it. It's probably not going to work
sense.
out incredibly well for you. Who's a player that you think could just rise up and surprise out of nowhere and lead the team in any kind of category that we haven't, maybe that one we haven't talked about yet?
I think one could be Hayden Hansen getting double-digit touchdowns.
Okay,
I
yeah.
think that would be an interesting one as a possibility because, he's going to be a big target and people are going to go after him, and he'd be one that would make sense. If I was to pick somebody on the defensive side, I could say interceptions going to Michael Boganowski, a player that teams decide that they want to throw at him. They want to test him out because they don't want to test. They keep throwing at the tight ends because they think they can get it across the middle, and he keeps showing up and taking it from them. That's one. And then Reggie Powers leading the team in sacks. As the cheetah, he's going to go all three phases, and there can be moments where he's having just blitzing in on a regular basis. The next thing you know, quarterback's getting taken out the game, and he gets the sack. He picks up the fumble, returns it for a touchdown. We'll take it. I got a whole scenario just brewing in my brain.
Okay, last question here. Who has more personal foul penalties, Eddie Pierre-Louis or Michael Boganowski?
Ooh, it's EPL. It's gonna be.
I mean, when you're right there in the trenches every single play, and you're a part of a car wreck every single play for 60 minutes, it's more likely
he pancaking. He getting his pancakes. That's all it is, right?
That's right.
And
it's demolition. Yeah, it's demolition derby versus NASCAR.
Right.
NASCAR, you're going to have an accident here and there. It's going to be a pretty violent collision, but along the offensive line, it's demolition derby.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's going to happen.
All right, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in, being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. So hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. If you haven't, hit the subscribe button. We're less than 50 subscribers away from reaching 18,000. That's our hope, is that we'd hit that number by the start of the season, and we got a little over a week to get there, and we know that y'all can do that. You can do that for us, so hit that subscribe button. Make sure you go follow Jay at Unfair Sports. Go check out his channel, Unfair Sports, over on YouTube. You can follow me at John9Williams and read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. You can follow the show at Locked On Sooners on all of your favorite social media platforms, and if you want more Locked On Sooners with no ads, go check out the Everyday Air Club at LockedOnSooners.supercast.com. For $5 a month, you get ad-free versions of the show. You also get the members-only Discord. You get an email newsletter directly to your email inbox, and so much more coming to the Everyday Air Club. Make sure you join today. But until next time, he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. We'll talk to you then. Boomer.